As we continue our journey through this conclave, our next session focuses on a critical and timely topic, sustainability, a catalyst for entrepreneurial innovation. In this session, our esteemed panel will explore how sustainability drives organizations to make socially relevant commitments, transforming internal processes and creating responsible, environmentally friendly products and services. Join us as we uncover the power of sustainability in fostering a culture of entrepreneurship and driving meaningful change within organizations. I would like to invite our first panelist for this session on stage, Mr. Nirbhay Lumde. Mr. Nirbhay is the Senior Vice President of ESG and Sustainability at Prestige Group. With over 20 years of experience, he is a passionate leader in driving ESG and CSR initiatives across tech, R&D, retail, IT, and real estate. He focuses on integrating responsible practices and has achieved tangible results, like a 30% reduction in carbon emissions in his previous role by collaborating with corporations, nonprofits, and governments. His leadership moves enterprises closer to net zero targets. Recognized as the top corporate sustainability voice in India, Nirbhay is also an author and thought leader. Mr. Nirbhay, welcome to the panel. Yes, please. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Sanjay Daflapurkar. Mr. Sanjay is the corporate head of business excellence at Tata Motors Limited. Since October 2011, Sanjay has been instrumental in driving corporate planning and strategy development through the Tata Business Excellence Model, TBEM. Based in Pune, he supports both domestic and international subsidiaries, leads internal assessments, and designs training programs. An ASQ certified manager of quality organizational excellence, Sanjay's expertise ensures continuous improvement and excellence at Tata Motors. Thank you for joining us, Sanjay. We also have with us Tina Phillip, who is a Principal Director at Accenture. Ms. Phillip is a seasoned management professional with over 14 years of experience in the informational technology, mobile, and automation industries, particularly in emerging markets. She has a proven track record in end-to-end planning, design, and execution of strategic projects. She excels in working with multicultural teams across various geographies, both in large corporations and startup companies. Welcome to the discussion, Ms. Phillips. In conversation with them as panel moderator is Kalpana Dubey. Ms. Dubey is a senior business and technology consultant and business advisor. She has successfully set up offshore delivery centers and developed strategic outsourcing solutions for businesses. Her expertise includes implementing quality frameworks like CMMI and Six Sigma, ensuring delivery excellence, providing through leadership in application management, and managing PLLs. Ms. Dubey is also the lead Unfold Consulting Governing Council and a jury member across all categories of Vanguard Awards. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Kalpana.
Thank you very much. We have very esteemed panelists today and from different industries. So we will have a very enriching agenda. And also Mr. Kamal Bali did set the context very well for this panel discussion. I think we could see how important sustainability is becoming to the industries. So we have all seen over the period of last 1 or 2 years the kind of concerns that is there regarding environment change, climate change, water scarcity, and other things. So mostly my questions will be directed to this, and very much in the company's board, the agenda is on the climate related risks, how we will mitigate it, and rightfully so, because we are at that juncture. So I will first start off with the depleting natural resources that are there, and also the energy resources. Things are changing drastically. So this is, there is a lot of concern about the energy resources being depleted, etc., and what is being done, and how innovation is happening in these areas. So my question was more on the innovation and how companies are really addressing it. And Sanjay, I think this very much you will be the perfect person to answer it. So I will direct that question to you.
I think first thing you promised me that you will ask simple questions. Right? Okay. So that makes my life easy. But many things actually you spoke and about the Volvo and the way Volvo is doing and all that, which set the tone for how automobile industry is actually working around, considering the whole sustainability part. As a Tata Group, as you know, we are torchbearer of sustainability, and the project is decided at the Tata Group level, which is actually been monitored at the Tata Sons level on sustainability, what we call Project Alingana. And every company has its connect in that project, part in that project. And what we have decided as a group that we would be exceeding the regulatory norms, okay, in the sense of whatever are the targets, international targets or domestic targets given by the governments or regulations, we are trying to be completing that 4 to 5 years ahead of the time. So that's the whole focus is what we are bringing in. Now, when we say this, it's not easy to just say and probably do it. So more innovative minds are getting in, right from the at the leadership level. We have a now strategy officer, sustainability officer, who is actually driving a lot of sustainability points. But we support him by making things very innovative, because the performance measures are very clear. It's open to anyone to see what to be achieved. Like he spoke about a lot of sustainability related performance measures in auto industry. So it's become every product today or every process today is thinking of along with the customer expectation also sustainability. It's not just in isolation that you are looking towards the market or what customers are expecting, but you are also expecting the sustainability requirements. And that's where probably it is then getting broken into functional level things. What the research and development will do, what the new product development will do, what probably the supply chain will try to focus, what manufacturing will focus. And you may have heard that there is a scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 in this. So we are around scope 2, but scope 3 is very large for any auto industry, right? And that's where the fueling of things happening faster that in the speed, and as you know that norms or your targets, the innovation becomes a priority for all of us. Also, whenever the leadership interacts at various levels, they bring those elements continuously, right? So in Tata Motors or in Tata Group, wherever you will go, two things, 2S, what we talk continuously without fail is, one is the safety and another is the sustainability, along with the CSR and all that. So everything what we do, we just not focus on product, but also how we can innovatively address that. That's the proper thing. And there are 3 ways of doing innovation to support sustainability. What we try to do is, one is the product innovation, second is the process or manufacturing or operation innovation, and third is making again the business model. Because as you said, digital will bring a lot of sustainability innovations also. I think I have taken a lot of time, but hope I addressed your
Thank you.
question.
It was very comprehensive, and it also addressed the fact that sustainability and creativity can exist together, because that is something which people used to question earlier before adopting sustainability. But now this is becoming really important. So
Just to add, if you are bringing any future today in the product and getting presented to the leadership, first box is to tick is sustainability.
absolutely. Thank you so much. So my second, perspective was on water scarcity, and we are seeing it all around. There is scarcity of water. There is less rainfall or more rainfall in different areas, and this is becoming a very, very critical aspect for manufacturing, construction industries, many industries, because if there's scarcity of water, your business is at risk. So I want to put this question to you, Nirbhay. And, how are you bringing in innovation or creativity with one is on water scarcity. And I also want you to augment it with the with the deforestation issue that is there, and also the degrading biodiversity. So these are, almost related questions, and probably you can let us know, how you are addressing it.
Thanks for asking the toughest questions, especially for someone coming from a construction industry, because we consume the maximum. Thanks, Kamal Bali, for the wonderful presentation. Maybe you should have been added another 20 more minutes. Lovely presentation, and the way you really brought us back those 2 degrees 1.5 to the sustainable practices. As we keep hearing, there's no planet B. We only have one planet, and we need to conserve what we really have. The biggest challenge that we have today is that none of us have patience. We want everything to be done in jiffy. And then we also have, in terms of we really want to live that flamboyant life. Unfortunately, none of these really go together. If you really want to live a good life, you need to, there's a lots of pressure on the nature for sure. Especially from the construction industry, where you be it from excavation to handing over, or there after the operations, the water becomes the basic requirement. And those of here in Bangalore, I'm sure the past couple of months have been really tough, with the rains and no rains, and also with the ground water not being available. What we really do at Prestige is a couple of things that we really take seriously. One for sure is about we do not use any fresh water in our construction practices. That we really taken care of it. We use the STB treated water in terms of the water consumption, and that's a priority that we really take extremely seriously. And of course, there are compliances, there are various regulations really mandate us in terms of, but we are extremely committed, and we are known in Bangalore otherwise for our commitment being Bangaloreans here. So therefore, we are extremely critical about the water usage. As I said, largely recycled water has been used in construction practices. Now coming to the operation side, those of you are living in properties which are 3-4 years in Prestige or otherwise would know that there's a technology innovation with respect to the dual plumbing. There are no more single plumbing with respect to your kitchen or the sanitation. It's all dual plumbing respectively that's been used, and typically the water which is recycled been used for the gardening or for the sanitation purposes. And that's a clear mandate. And that's the only way out that you really can run any of the business with respect to property management. There is no choice. The reason I say there is no choice is because you do not get water anymore. And water is being transported at least for 8 to 10 kilometers on average for sure. Do we have any technology to create or manufacture water? Right now, we do not have any. So therefore, the conservation is the only way that we really look at it. Now coming to the, with respect to the properties which we have, any property that we undertake, we do have aquifers that we really build it. That's a priority that we do. Any runoff water, we do not let them into the lakes. For sure we do. It's more of a runoff that really goes. But otherwise we have water recharge pits which are really made, and ensuring that the water really stays and percolated below for sure. Any runoff is typically given to a lake or otherwise into a nearby water stream. That's one in terms of the aquifers. But interestingly also in terms of the, today when you look at the paints and simulators which have been used are synthetic, which really take care in terms of, it's not something that's really harmful for the nature and really takes care of in terms of the water usage for sure. Now coming to the two other aspects that you spoke about, the biodiversity. It's an interesting scenario with respect to construction industry. We are someone really seen before, during and after. And those of you, I'm sure, must be looking at Google Maps and wondering, hey, here is the property that was really taken over, and this has been a beautiful property, has been built, and where we are. Mind you, we are extremely conscious of what we really build. We give enough and good amount of green spaces. We have some of the best landscaping and plantation that really we do in our properties. That's a priority. I'll talk about a little bit on the commercial part of it. All our commercial buildings where we have the tenants, we use up to 90% renewable energy. So we have taken conscious call about those, saying that we will move away from the thermal energy in terms of to the renewable energy. In terms of the biodiversity, we are extremely conscious, retaining back what we have been given to us, and especially with the hospitality and the resorts where we have a good presence, we have biodiversity parks which we really maintain. While it's also a mandate, we take an extra care. Of course, it adds value to the beauty of the property itself. So therefore, extremely careful about the biodiversity as well. The last one, which is the urban, the madness that we have, there is no choice but to live with it. We are conscious and we build properties spread across, ensuring that there's no it's not cluttered in one or two belts, it's spread across. And today, Prestige has moved away from building verticals to building cities. We are building cities, houses at 4 to 5 to 6,000 homes at one go. So therefore, we are building comprehensive properties instead of being verticals.
Thank you so much. That was very, very comprehensive. And I must say that I was at Azim Premji University over the weekend, and there was a session on water harvesting and all. And some of the showcases were actually Prestige townships, actually. So, great. So, Tina, I want to address you some very different questions. One is, of course, about the energy resources and how power is being utilized as, more and more data centers are coming up. And you know that with AI and data analytics catching up, in fact, there was a perspective that was mentioned that a complex ChatGPT query actually uses a lot of energy which can run a household, right? So coming from IT services background, consulting background, what are your views on this? And second thing, for a services company, what other, sustainable aspects are you looking at? If you can address either on water scarcity or any other thing, because I know a lot of IT services are concentrating, and that's why, you also have that hat on. Would love to hear your views on that.
Yeah, thank you, Kalpana. I think going after two eminent speakers is always a tough job, but let me see what I can contribute to this conversation. So I come from a technology services company, right? Accenture is a consulting and technology services company. So for us, one key thing which I love about Accenture is our focus on sustainability. And this is something which is coming right from our CEO. So Mr. Bali mentioned about, the culture of innovation, sustainability being important. I do really think that it kind of flows top down. So if your top management and senior leadership have that importance being given to whichever aspect it is, whether it's a sustainability or innovation, that tends to flow down as well. So our CEO, Julie Sweet, famously said that sustainability is the new digital. So a decade back, Accenture had said that every business is going to be a digital business. And now we are saying that every business is going to be a sustainable business. So that's the level of importance that Accenture has been giving to this topic of sustainability. So naturally, we have also signed up for quite stiff targets when it comes to both, all three aspects, E, S, and G of sustainability, environmental, social, and governance. Around environment is where, your energy usage comes in. So as a tech services company, actually most of our emissions are in scope 3 and not in scope 1 and scope 2. Within scope 1 and scope 2, we have already moved to 100% renewable energy for all our offices. We are also looking at decarbonizing our leased transport, because that again comes within our scope 1 and scope 2. We are again looking to move 100% to EVs in that as well. But our largest chunk of emissions come from scope 3, and that is where I think almost all services companies would be as well. Because we have to look at our employees, we have to look at our purchased goods, we have to look at our business travel, and see how we can reduce our emissions when it comes to scope 3. So I think for us as Accenture, that is one area that we are focusing a lot on. Because scope 1 and scope 2, I would say, is about 10% of our emissions, and scope 3 is 90%. So how do you actually actually reduce that? Because we have taken a net zero goal of 2030. So Mr. Bali was mentioning how automobile manufacturers, in fact, everybody has taken a goal when it comes to net zero. We have taken a goal of net 2030. So we have to reach there. So we need innovation for sure. So, so that is on the environmental part. As far as social is concerned, see, we as a tech services company, for us, water usage is not so high. But even there, what we are trying to do is use more recycled water. Our wastewater is recycled within our premises itself, and it's getting used more and more. And reducing use of single-use plastic, for example. So we've completely eliminated single-use plastic. So these are some of the other things that we are working on. The third aspect is around diversity, which again Mr. Bali kind of touched on. So we have again taken a goal of 50% gender balance by 2025 across levels and 25% in senior leadership. We are almost there on the 50% overall. What we are struggling a bit is on 25% at the senior leadership. And here we are talking about managing directors and senior managers, really the top level. So Accenture is very serious about ESG, as you can imagine. And we have also signed up for the SDG Ambition. We are one of the members of SDG Ambition as well. So quite a few things that Accenture is doing on this. To your question around technology, of course, we have to address that. So the way we see it is that we call it, there are two types of sustainability. We say there's sustainability by technology and sustainability in technology. So sustainability by technology is where you're using all those innovations that both our panelists talked about. You know, how do you make your value chain or supply chain more sustainable? How do you reach your net zero goals, etc. Sustainability in technology is what Kalpana was referring to around, yes, your data centers, your AI models, how do you actually make them more sustainable? So we've been working on this for a while. We are part of the Green Software Foundation as well. So there are certain, material aspects that we look at when it comes to technology and sustainability in technology. So I'm going to talk about maybe 3-4 of them that I remember right now. So one is definitely the software development cycle itself. So when you're coding, how can you make your code more efficient so that you then reduce your emissions there? So one is on the SDLC itself. The second is around the digital experience. So for example, all the mobile phones that we use, the laptops that we used, if we shift to dark mode, that actually cuts emissions by almost half. So I'm sure a lot of you use dark mode in the night, but how about using it during the day as well? So these are kind of interventions that you can take in order to make your digital experience greener, right? Then we come to something around data. So Mr. Bali was referring to how data is the new oil and the new fuel. Absolutely agree. But data has also become such a menace in some ways, because all companies, all individuals are storing and transmitting more and more data every single day. And about 70% of this is what we call as dark data. So we're collecting all this data, but we're not using it in any shape or form. But we're still storing it, we're transmitting it, and there is emissions related to that. So how do you make your data greener? How do you identify that the data sources that you have, the data relevancy equations, and say which of the data do you really need and do you really need to store? And how do you purge the rest? So there are things around data. Then we come to AI, the big one, of course. So generative AI, I think everybody has used ChatGPT, I'm sure, in the audience. And, Kalpana, you're saying that it could power a household. I know there's a bit of hype there as well, but I would say that, the reality is somewhere in between. So it is not completely here, it's not completely on the hype, it's somewhere in between. But what we are again looking at is how to make your AI models also more energy efficient. And that is a trade-off between accuracy and efficiency. So if actually your models are slightly less accurate, you don't need as much energy to train them. So how do you find that balance between accuracy and efficiency, right? So those are some things that we have to keep in mind when we are thinking of AI. Then we come to data centers. So earlier, almost all companies had data centers of their own in their own premises. Most of the financial services companies still do because of regulatory reasons as well. But what we have found in our research is that if you actually move from the data centers to the cloud, you actually do save on energy usage as well as emissions. So in the hierarchy, own data centers is here, public cloud, private cloud, and then public cloud. So if you move completely to the public cloud, you can actually reduce your emissions. So there are ways to do that, and we do have a lot of work that we have done in this space as well around how to balance how much you use. And even when it comes to your data centers and cloud, where your data centers are based also can make a lot of difference. And this is where Europe, I would say, is ahead of us. So if you actually have a data center in Europe, it does lead to reduced emissions simply because they run on renewable energy and not on fossil fuel-based energy like it does in most parts of Asia Pac. So these are all different, I would say, ways in which we can think of sustainability in technology around SDLC, data, AI, cloud, digital experience, and find ways to reduce our energy usage and emissions in each of these steps. So we are not going to completely eliminate in any of these steps, but we have to strike a balance. So that's what I would say.
Wonderful. I think we got a lot of insights from all three of you regarding, one is water scarcity that Nirbhay, you mentioned about how you are addressing in your industry, and also about the deforestation and depleting biodiversity. I think that was really a good aspect of it. And Sanjay, you highlighted on some of the innovation that is being done to address the depleting energy resources, natural resources, and what are the alternatives, and what other innovation is being done so that there is less of climate pollution or climate change. And thank you, Tina, great perspectives on data centers, and other aspects also in your industry. So, so with this, actually, many people were asking me, can sustainability and creativity exist together? And I think your answers have answered that amply, that it can. So thank you so much. Any last minute thoughts any of you will like to? Okay. All right. So we can have the questions then.
We are a little 15 minutes over, but are there any questions? Again, 3 different industries. And it's a hot topic, so we do justice before we get into it.
My name is Sachin. I'm from Daimler Truck. So this question to Anirban. In automotive industry, it's Nirbhay. Sorry, construction. Because in automotive industry, we do collaborative innovation when we talk about sustainability. Vertical integration, our supplier, we push supplier to come up with the sustainable material. I would like to know what's happening in the construction industry, because it's mostly fragmented at larger scale level, right? You also collaborate with the suppliers or somewhere to push sustainable products so that you can build better cities.
Yeah, I would like to clarify for sure the loss of collaboration with respect to construction industry. The reason is that there are lot many interlinked industries that really work together within the supply chain. Because interiors is one of the biggest factor that really contributes for us. While you may be able to see one holistic, but when you look at from tiling to flooring to ceiling and electrification, all of this, I'm talking only interiors, we work very closely, and today Prestige has have moved out of the hardcore materials, and we have our own manufacturing units that we work very closely. And in fact, Be Vocal and Be Local, some of those really helped us very, very handy for us. We built, I think Intrapreneurial is one such thing that I can speak about it. We have our own in-house, I would say, setups that really take care of our own engagements. While we build the ecosystem outside, largely it's intertwined, work very, very closely. Because if one element of a larger and housing scheme really falls apart, it's extremely difficult to really work together. So there's no choice but to work with all your vendors and supply chains very closely. Be it electricity, water, tiling, flooring, to ceiling, including painting. Today painting, the customers are, the home buyers are really extremely careful about what kind of paints have been bought. So they want to be really sustainable. So therefore, really, the sourcing itself has become really challenging for us. So where do you really source from? Is the sourcing is really sustainable? Do they really have good practices? And how long you are going to sustain with those practices? So it's really intertwined, and especially with respect to labor practices, we are really extremely careful for those. We can certainly speak offline on this.
Okay, so we'll try and wrap this. Unfortunately, it's the last panel is overshot. Thank you so much, Dave, for the please.
Before we end the session, I would like to call on stage Ms. Apurva Bapna. Ms. Bapna to felicitate our speakers. Apurva is Unfold's entrepreneurship champion and a part of our governing council. She is currently the Chief Culture Officer at WPP India and a part of the WPP Country Managers Leadership Team.